Hello! Today we are here to discuss First in Flight. This is a Kickstarter that as soon as I saw the concept of it, I had to back it because I like historic games. I like educational type games. So this one has a little bit of both. It's Artana Games, so they're very well known for their historic type games. Before we get into it any further, though, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because you don't want to miss out on a moment of our videos.
Nope.
So let's talk about First in Flight. The game is a 2023 release. This has a rating currently on Board Game Geek of 7.7 and a rank of 7,088. It's a 1 to 4 player game, 45 to 75 minutes in length. Average age is 12 and up. That's probably about right, I think. There's just the concepts of the trying to get your flight together is probably a little much for a younger child. Design is Matthew O'Malley and Ben Rossett. Art is by Tomas Boguz and Amelia Sales. Published, as I mentioned, by Artana Games. Now, this was a Kickstarter, and it had a Kickstarter. This is the Kickstarter edition, collector's edition, I should say. It had a price tag on the Kickstarter of $55, which is not bad for what you get in this. We'll talk about that in a moment. Standard edition is $39, and it's still pretty nice. The pricing that you can find this right now is all pre-order, except for Geek Market. Geek Market, there's a $55 copy of it out there, but it's used, and it's the standard edition.
Okay.
So it's a markup still, even for a used copy. And then Noble Knight is selling the collector's edition for $124.95.
Ooh, smokes!
I'm glad I got in on it for $55.
Yes.
Yeah. Other than that, it's pre-orders or out of stock. And Watchtower has it the cheapest for $38.99. Again, that's the standard edition one.
Watchtower.
Yeah, that's one that's been popping up lately. I've never heard of them until just recently. And
I associate that word with something else entirely besides board games.
And then Atomic Empire and Boardlandia both have this on pre-order for $54.99. But again, it's the standard edition.
Okay.
So the difference between the Kickstarter versus the standard is, first of all, you get these nice resin pieces. The pieces in the standard game are screen printed and they're wooden, and they have different varieties of flying machines. They have blimps, and I
never even looked at these.
Yeah, they're really nice. That would have been perfectly fine, but I love these resin pieces. They're two-tone. They're not even just a single color. They actually two-toned all the different pieces. And they have every color has its own variety of plane, which is really cool.
One of these is a canard. Yeah. That's pretty cool.
And for some reason, there's a paper airplane. I'm not sure if that's for the solo game or what, but there's a paper airplane in there.
I love it.
Yeah, so I mean, they went all out. You get a upgraded version of the time clock. They have a little small clock that's in the base game, but the collector's edition has kind of one that looks like a tower clock. The other thing is there's foil embossed cards, which are your pilots when you upgrade. When you become famous in the game, you get to flip them over and they're foil embossed. You've got metal coins. These are really nice, although we have one that's kind of got some kind of gunk all over it. I'm not sure why. Maybe it may be
it looks like corrosion, but I don't.
Yeah, I think maybe it's like the when they put the two-tone on it, the whatever the. It just
didn't get wiped all the way off.
Didn't get wiped off.
Possible.
So I probably have to clean that one. But they didn't give you enough coins for what I would consider enough coins for a 4-player game.
No, we had to get the.
Yeah, we had to use for just 2 players. We had to get the ceramic poker chips. And
that's a lot.
Yeah, that's all they give you. But that's what's in the Kickstarter. But everything is well done, and they have a nice holding tray for all your cards. You do have to sticker it.
Well, and the stickers tell you. I don't remember ever having a game that said "put this here, put this here."
Well, that's actually one of my complaints, because in the rule book they have a picture showing all the cards in with the stickers. And then they have instructions on the stickers themselves that tell you where the stickers go, and they don't agree.
Oh, that's annoying.
So I started playing them, putting the stickers on based upon the picture in the rule book, and I had stickers that were left over that didn't have a location. And then when I looked at the sticker sheet, it said, you're supposed to put this here. So I ended up covering up one of my stickers with a different sticker because they only had one slot for these glide cards.
That's uncomfortable.
Because the glide cards would not fit in one of those trays. You had to split them up.
I would have had to have taken it off.
I couldn't. I tried. It wouldn't come off.
He didn't have essential oils.
So
lemon essential oil would have done it.
Okay. Well, I don't like stickering to begin with. That's one of my pet peeves. But
I never knew that.
Because one of them went down crooked, and once these stickers are very adhesive. Once you put them down, you could not get them back up, unless of course you had your magic tonics,
like essential oils.
Yeah. So, apart from that, I mean, the board is kind of a threefold oversized length board, but it's not huge on the table. The cards have a linen finish. They have a nice feel to them, but you are going to shuffle them a lot. You're probably going to sleeve them, and they are kind of a smaller size. I'm assuming they're like a European or size. We'll probably have to find cards sleeves for that.
I've been using my Google Drive a lot lately, and I found an old document where you had listed
the different sizes.
Do you remember doing that?
Yes.
Have you ever updated it?
Well, probably not, because I think that was based upon the Fantasy Flight, which doesn't do sleeving anymore.
What?
Yeah, they stopped making sleeves.
Krista Joy, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah. So, nope, you gotta, because since Asmodee acquired them, they had their own sleeving. So they discontinued Fantasy Flights. I loved Fantasy Flight sleeves.
I have a friend whose husband works there. I'm going to have to ask her about that.
All right, so the player board's the only thing I didn't care for. It's kind of flimsy. It's more of a cardstock. It does have a finish on it too, but it's very thin.
You know, I never referred to this, which is weird. But that's because I'm always asking you questions. What about this? What about that?
Yeah, so the cards are good, but the boards could have been nicer. But apart from that, everything is top notch. I'm gonna probably give this a 9. I love the cards. I love the resin pieces. You know, it just looks good on the table, and everything's well made. And the metal coins are great.
I like that number.
Okay.
I like this theme even better.
So let's talk about theme now. Okay. So this is the beginning ages of flight. So everybody is experimenting on tweaking their planes to try to get them off the ground and see what happens. It's definitely a trial and error type game, and therefore it fits nicely into the whole press your luck element of this. It's a deck builder, and it's also got a rondelle system, and
I call it leapfrog.
Well, it's got a rondelle system that's similar to how the process in Patchwork works, where whoever's furthest back gets to take actions until somebody's behind them. So that does fit your description of a leapfrog. Mm-hmm. So, you know, the experimental nature of the game, it fits perfectly with the gameplay. I love it. All the characters in this, or all the people in this, are all actual historic figures.
So cool.
In the rulebook, when we talk about it, there's a few pages they give a short biography on every one of these characters.
It does?
Yeah.
Okay, gosh, I need this game.
So, it's really neat how they've gone into all this detail, and then all the different card types, the interactions between them is really neat. You feel like you're in those early days trying to get your plane to be something that's going to fly, and frustration when your plane crashes prematurely. So I love the art on this. The art is beautiful. Every type of card, not every card, but every type of card has its own distinct art. And, it's definitely harkens back to the early 1900s when this is set. I think they've done an outstanding job turning a period of time into a game that fits that era.
I love so many things about the theme on this. I think everything about it is perfect. I mean, you have the canard here. You have gliders with humans in them. You have hangars. You have a place over here where people are
spectating.
Spectators for a crash.
Yeah.
And then there's also, I love museums even more than I love board games. Now, I I've never paid attention to what's going on down in North Carolina with the history of flight, but my husband Alan, you may have seen him on here once or twice. He's retired from the Air Force, so every time we have the opportunity to go to a museum that focuses on aviation, we do. So I'm not going to say this is the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum, but it's reminiscent of it. And like this canard here, it's literally, it's there. You can go to the Smithsonian. Well, there's actually two. There's one right down on the mall that this one looks like, and then there's one way out in Virginia somewhere that's way more modern, and it has tons of airplanes. They did such a beautiful job. Even the board itself tells the story.
Mm-hmm. And it's whimsical because you have like a Ferris wheel, and there's a big top.
Well, because it was a big draw. Like,
yeah.
So the start of the beginnings of flight were the early 20th century. It's not that long after the World's Fair of 1893. So that was happening at the same time. Like they didn't succeed the first time they did it.
Yeah.
Like if you go to the one way out in Virginia, past wherever it is, you can walk around and read all the things. I like to walk around and read all the things. And you even there's as much stuff in there as there is in a book somewhere. And they've taken the best of the best and put it on here. I just love it. I'm going to give it a 9.875. The theme is, I just love it.
So, yeah, I'm right with you. I think I love, there's no reason they needed to have all these excess characters in the Kickstarter edition. Mm-hmm. I love that they did. Mm-hmm. They look beautiful. They got, they have the goggles. They have their, the two-tone look of them. The everything fits that era. I don't know if I can give anything less than a 10 for what this game is. I think the theme fits it perfectly.
And I also love it when I learn something from a game. I know a lot about... this game told me I don't know as much as I think I do. And that always impresses me. So I love it.
All right, let's talk about the rulebook. So the rulebook is 24 pages in length. So it's a little long for this style of game because it's a fairly simple game once you get the basics down. I mean, I taught you in less than 10 minutes.
Yes.
It has a nice section on components, has count and pictures of all of the items. The art in here actually looks time period like too, which is really cool. I mean, the colors are beautiful. They're kind of subdued in the background, but just the look of it, it looks like it fits the theme too. They have the only complaint I had about it was the stickering. The fact that here's the picture I was referring to that doesn't match because it's only got like one section for the glide cards, but there's too many to fit in one slot. So on the sticker sheet, they actually had where you put the two glide stickers down, and that threw off the brown.
Do they have one that's like empty up here where they just not doing anything?
No, this was the discard pile. But there's not a spot for a discard pile with this configuration, so I just ended up putting the discards to the side. So yeah, because the glide took up two spots and this doesn't allow for that. So yeah, I think that's where the crux of the issue was. Okay. But
it's kind of small potatoes for how much we love everything else. But I mean, it's worth mentioning.
Yeah. The teaching of this game, it's very effective. They've got the clear rules for it. It's got examples for the rules, that are very understandable. I think they've done an outstanding job. I think it's a little wordy for the type of, the difficulty of this game, but it's, I'd rather be overstating than understating. Mm-hmm. And like I said, there's lots of examples are highlighted in a different color and pulled out, and they have pictures for each of the examples too. They have your actions, what you can do after that. Then they have a big 2-page section of examples there in the middle. I think the examples are what draws this game out, the rule book out actually, because everything has examples. The end of year, winning the game, they have the 2-player rules. Now, the 2-player in this, we haven't got to play it, unfortunately, 3 or 4. 2-player, they have a dummy player that kind of has to be there. Because it kind of drives...
doesn't work if you don't have a dummy player.
So it drives the game forward, and actually the dummy player can actually win if you're not careful, because it stays up with you pretty well.
I would dislike that.
Yeah, but it can happen. And then they have a section on rules clarifications. I didn't even need it. I mean, I never saw a rule that would needed a clarification.
I did need one while we were playing, but it was because I didn't remember something you had already said.
Yeah.
Which only once is pretty good for me.
Yeah. And then there's 4 pages of biographies of all the characters in the game, as I mentioned.
I'd known that while we were playing.
And then there's a quick reference on the back. There are no cheat sheets, but you
Well,
really don't
this.
need one. Oh, yeah, on your player sheet there is a couple things on there to help you. But this has all the iconography on it right there if you do have a question about anything. But it's all pretty self-explanatory, very intuitive. The iconography, you can just look at it and say, oh, that's that card or that card. So all in all, I think they've done an outstanding job on the rule book. I am going to give it a 9. I probably would have given it closer to a 10 if it weren't for the sticker thing.
Nice.
All right, so moving on to gameplay. So at the beginning of the game, everybody's going to have the same beginning deck to an extent. You're going to all get 4 glide cards that have a level 1 movement, and then you're going to get 1 experience card that also has a level 1 movement, but will generate additional glide cards. So when you play it, you automatically draw a glide card from your deck. 1 is a very slow movement, but the first time I played, I actually beat Miranda by having slow and steady and playing nothing but 1s the entire game.
Take note, ladies and gentlemen, he beat Miranda.
It happens from time to time.
I know.
I win probably at least 50% with
I win if she's like on her deathbed and doesn't know that it's COVID yet. Actually, not even then.
You're going to get 5 good cards, and then you're going to get 4 random defects that you don't know what they are shuffled into your deck with those 5 cards. So everybody's going to have 9 total cards in their deck to start the game, but those 4 defects may differ from player to player. That then is going to be your flight deck. And then you're going to have your worker, or your pilot, your workers here, are going to take spots on the board, and whoever's furthest back will go first. So in this game, I was first player, and you get to choose any action you want. You can jump as far ahead as you want, but the further you jump ahead, you're going to allow other players to take more actions behind you. So the different actions you can take an upgrade action. Upgrade actions will give you cards that range from 2 to 5 distance. You pay as much as you want. You can pay 1 coin per card. And you just jumped 16 coins one time.
Well, it was very. There are only 4 rounds, and it was at the very almost to the end of the 4th round. And
you were fishing for 5s.
I was fishing for 5s, and I had. Yeah, I spent 16 coins.
But no matter how much you spend, you get to take that many cards, but you only get to keep 2.
You get to look at that many.
You look at that many cards and then keep 2. But every time you do an upgrade action, you get a new defect that's added to your draw pile without knowing what it is.
Yeah, hence I only did that action 1 time.
So, basically, those are stoppers. I did 1 time.
1 time.
So, at the beginning of the game, you're going to have 4 stoppers, and 4 stoppers means you crash. So, if you add more, the likelihood of crashing increases.
Goes up.
But you're also adding better cards that are going to give you more distance.
You really flooded your deck. Like, pick up your deck and hold it up next to mine. Look how many cards you had.
Yeah, I had considerably more.
Yeah.
But most of mine are all 1s. I mean, that's the thing. I got all these 1s.
And I kept trashing my 1s to get higher.
Yeah. So, that's the upgrade action. The next action lets you either take a blue or a yellow card. So yellow cards are friends, and they give you 1 per time per era, which there's 4 eras in the game. They give you a special ability that you can tap them, and you will get that ability, and then they reset each era. The blue cards are ongoing effect cards, and these will stay permanently triggering. There's good cards in both piles. I think I preferred the blue ones because you didn't have to do any of your passive abilities. The other card type over here are basically in-flight cards that you can tap once per flight, and then they reset each time you take a new flight. And these give you nice abilities as well, but they're...
Look at the top 4 cards. Look at the top 3 cards.
They let you bury cards or shuffle the cards back into your deck. Or do have other different abilities, but those were really nice. And my character this time actually gave me a perk for playing green cards. I got to draw an extra card, and then once I became famous, I got to draw an extra 2 cards So those were really nice during the course.
You mean you got to draw an extra card from your deck, not an extra green card?
So they basically empowered some of the cards that I had that let me draw 2 cards and bury as many of those as I wanted.
Nice.
So in those cases, I got to draw 4 cards and bury as many of them as I wanted.
It kind of drives.
Yeah, you can do some nice comboing.
It drives which tactic do you?
Yeah.
Just go for the high ones, or do you go for a lot of ones?
Yeah, and then there's cards. There's cards in the blue. There's cards in the blue that give you plus distance based upon those types, either both the ones or the upgraded cards. So there's strategies. Both strategies can pay out, and you weren't that far behind me in the scoring. I think I took more flights was the main thing.
Well, the more flights don't really get you anywhere.
Well, each one of those generated those ones for me because I was generating every time I had the one that gave me 2 additional glide cards every time I had 7 cards, and since I buried cards, I knew I had 7 every time.
I love the little machine variability.
Yep. So yeah, I mean you can set up a good deck multiple different ways, which is really nice. Next action you can take is basically free coins. You can go to a free coin action, which coins early in the game are very scarce. You know, you had an ability that gave you lots of coins. So you never really struggled for coins.
No,
early in the game, I was broke. I was struggling until, I got all the way to the end of the era when you can potentially make some money for your distance, which we'll talk about. And then the other action is a repair action. And that is going to be triggered when you go on a flight and you get one of those unknown defects that comes up. You have basically the unknown defects will give you a crash icon, but they also have a negative penalty on them. And you want to get those penalties out of the way. Some of them are really bad. You've got one that if it's your first crash, it costs 2 crashes instead of 1. You have one where if you don't have a green card to tap, you basically have to land your flight immediately. And that one I hate, because I tapped all my green cards and then that came up and I had to land my flight immediately because I didn't have any other option because I had that. So I had to get rid of those cards quickly. There's...
I never even saw that one.
Yeah, well, that's because I got 4 of them. I got 4 of them during the game.
Oh my, that's a lot.
Yeah. So I was clearing those things out as quickly as possible.
I like the mechanism for how you get rid of them, though. That's cool.
So repair lets you, after you take a flight, you have the potential to send your defects to the garage where you can do a repair action. And then if you do a repair action, you still get a crash card. It takes the place of the defect card, and it's a damage card that goes in it. So you'll still have the same number of crashes, but it gets rid of that penalty that's at the bottom. Plus, each repair gives you a perk at the time you do it. Yes. So if you take the repair action, I have to pay 3 coin to do it, but then I get to trash this, and I get, in this case, a green card to replace it. So I get to add a green card to my selection, and then trash this and get one of the 1 level just plain defects.
I still had one that at the end of the game that I didn't repair.
Yeah, I did too. So there's... that's the repair action. Then you have the flight, and this is really the critical action to the game. Every time you go onto a flight, you have a card that is your landing card, and it has, for the most of them have a 5. Now there is one character, that special ability, that gives you a 6, and then it upgrades to being an 8.
Nice.
Yeah, I had that one the first game. So this one...
Well, when all you need to win is 40, that's a lot.
So the first thing you have to do is shuffle your deck, and if you had any cards in the waiting for repair or repaired in your garage, they get added to your deck immediately, and you shuffle the deck.
Yeah.
And then you're going to go on your flight by taking it each turn, turning 1 card over. Now, if you have any blue or green cards, you can trigger them during the flight. You might have a yellow card that you can trigger as well, but those are, once you tap them, they stay tapped for the entire era till you make it around. Everybody makes it around the end of the board. So I'm going to flip the first card. Oh, I got a crash right away, and this one says if the next card added to my flight is a glide, I have to trash the card. So that's not good. Thankfully it wasn't, but I got 2 crashes already. Nice. Not a great start, because if you get 4, you're dead. You're not dead, but you crash your plane. So I got 1. There's 3 already. Wow.
In the heck?
You set me up very well
You shuffled!
All right, so I've got 3 crashes. So I'm going to go ahead and try to land this thing. So once I play my land card, I have to shuffle my deck again because there's cards that let me bury cards. And after you've played your landing card, you can't have the benefit of any of the green cards. You also cannot play any more of those cards. So once the landing card comes into play, you have to play straight up. You got to play 2 more cards from your deck. And in this case, if I get 1 more crash, I've crashed, which is not good. Oh, there's a 5. That's nice.
Nice. You're welcome.
Woo, and
I worked really hard to get those in there.
So I managed to not crash because I got no more crashes. So I now add up all the numbers. I got 1, 2, 3. Now my landing card's worth 5, but if I had crashed, it would only be worth 2. But I would still count it. I still count the distance. So I got 1, 2, 3. I got 13, 15 distance. So then I might have perks like this one. If I had played 4 1 levels that were the glide cards, I would get an extra point, but they only have 1. So I get to move that distance from on the score track 15, which would make me become famous. When you hit 15, you become famous. So people would know me. I would get to flip my card if it weren't flipped already to the other side. Now, if my plane was at 16 or 17 and I got 15, nothing happens. I don't add any distance because it's not as good as my best flight. What matters is your best flight, not, it's not cumulative. That's how a flight works. Now, the ones that I have in here that were, like here, I got this one that isn't a repaired one. Since it's not repaired, I can put it into my garage. And now if I go to a wrench location, I can repair that and get the perk of it and get rid of that penalty card. But I have to, again, as I mentioned, replace it with one of the standard crashes. So then there's spots that let you take any action, but you have to usually pay a coin to do them, except for the one at the very end. But you can choose any of the other actions you want. And then there's one that lets you either take a free glide card, or you can pay 3 coins to get another experience card. And again, those are the ones that generate additional glide cards every time they come up. I didn't do
that a single time.
I didn't either. But those are really handy, having those experience cards.
Why don't you keep getting them?
I only had 1. I got cards because of the green part card that were if I had 7 in play. Without crashing.
If you had 4 in play, you got an extra one. But if you had 7 in play, you got 2.
And since I got to flip 4 cards and bury any of them, I pretty much always knew I had 7 in a row.
Very nice.
Because I had 2 of those. And I had 2 of the cards that gave me that perk, so I would tap both of them and get 4 additional white cards.
It was really fun to watch him take a flight. It was like a
So you can get.
Oh, hold on. Let me go back to the beginning.
So you can get some nice combos going with the deck as you build it, but you've got to. It takes time to build up your deck to be working that way, and that's why it takes time for you to reach 40, which is at the point where the game will end if you don't manage to just get it into the 4 era. So basically, the game will trigger if you on your turn score 40 points or more in distance, and if so, immediately everybody gets to take 1 more flight to see if they can beat your record. And
I was just happy that I beat the dummy.
Yeah, you beat the dummy.
I beat the dummy by what, 3?
Yeah. So the dummy now
4.
The dummy moves to the first available spot, but if it's a card space, they burn the bottom card from either side of the board. So they'll burn the blue cards before the yellow, and they'll burn the bottom green. If you go to a flight location, though, they move up 3 on the scoring on the easy mode. Now, on the hard mode, they flip over and they actually move up faster. So they move up on the hard mode, they move up 4 and 6 every era at the end of the era.
Oh.
So they would have probably overtaken us both at that point.
Oh, I don't like that.
So basically, we keep taking actions until we all get around to the end, and then whoever's first to go into retirement gets to take first action next round. But before we start the next round, we first have to figure out who wins the cup for that year. Oh, yeah. So whoever got the furthest distance in flight gets 7 money. Whoever got second gets 5, and whoever got third gets 4. and then you move the era up, and then the next round begins, and you go through and do it again, and you do it 4 eras or till somebody gets 40 points. So both games we played, we were in era 4 when we got 40 points, but we didn't finish the era because of that.
I think it's probably going to be a very rare game that someone gets to 40 before the 4th era.
It's possible, though. I mean, I got really close that one round before. I got to like 38, I think.
Yeah, you did.
And you said I could have probably got it. I just chickened out.
You did.
Because I had those crashes already.
I was like, you could have ended the game, but I'm never happy about that.
So, I mean, this is a very simple game to learn, but, there's a lot of mechanics in building your deck in the game. There's a lot of the whole press your luck element. If you don't mind the tension of the press your luck, it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And it makes perfect sense with this era, like I said.
They did have to press their luck. And while you were talking, I thought, it was fun to watch you do your thing with the... And on one level, everyone at the time was hoping that flight just happened. But there were big, big dollars to be earned by whoever got the farthest and did it first. Yeah, it's competitive.
So what do you think about the score for this one?
Oh my gosh, I love this game. I don't know what my highest score ever was, but
you just gave a category of 9.875. So
yeah, I give the whole game a 9.75.
9.75. Wow.
I just really like that. For me, this hits a sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't last too long. It's easy to learn. Now, I've played other Leapfrog games, and I love deck building. I like the dummy player. I like the theme. I don't know. This was really fun. So it's not quite exactly the same as a gateway game.
Yeah, I would definitely say this is a light to medium. I wouldn't call it a light.
Yeah, this is a sweet spot for me. I mean, I love it.
And it's not that long. I mean,
it's not that long. Not once did I think, where's my phone? What am I doing here?
Yeah. So.
Well, that might have been because there was only 2 players, but it's hard to find a game for 2 players that you don't get to the end and think, it would have been better with 3 players. Right?
I still think it would be better with 3 or 4
players.
Yes,
I do too. But the dummy pilot, I don't know.
It worked in this, and I think it needed. It was necessary. I understand why they put it in. I think it's necessary.
Well, I'm just saying that took some of this would have been better with 3 players out of it.
Yeah.
But for not being a specifically 2-player game, it played beautifully with 2 players.
Oh yeah, it works fine. I'm not quite as high as you. The only main reason is I don't know how much replayability it's going to have, or there's a lot of combos you can do, but I'm not sure if there's an infinite number or even a high number. I think there's certain strategies that we're going to start seeing commonly happen, and given that,
I kind of feel that way about Great Western Trail.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But I think this one I'm going to probably give an 8.5 to. I think it is a great game. I enjoy everything about it. My only concern is that the deck building aspect of it could become a little repetitive over time. But
we never get to play games twice in a row.
I know, it's not that big of a problem.
Do you know how many times I had to ask for Oracles of Delphi to be brought back out? It took like a year and a half for me to get my game back out of the table. I should have just bought it.
So, I assume you're going to be trying to locate this one. So,
well, I have a husband who loves to buy games, so and he's Air Force retired, so I think he would like to have it.
All right. Well, it's a shame he didn't come today. He would have enjoyed tonight.
He could have been here.
Yep. All right. Well, that's our thoughts on First in Flight. So, if you've got a chance to try it out, let us know what you think below. If you haven't, we just did the Sky Team we did a review for, so we've got a couple of flight games we've played here recently. I think I like this one the best of the ones we've played so far as far as flight games. But if you have a particular game that's your favorite flight game, let us know what that is down there too. Or again, if you invented a flying machine, let us know how that went for you. Don't try this at home, kids.
What if it was a flying time machine?
Well, Again, don't try that at home either. We've already seen what can happen when you mess up time. So,
Yeah.
all right. Until next time,
Thank you.
keep on experimenting and stay safe and don't come near my house when you're flying. Bye.
Bye.